All right. So, what to do with War Within? You're level 80, right? Uh, I'll talk about the story slightly, not just the actual story, but here's going to be the structure. I'm going to talk about the story quests, what you should probably do during that. I'm going to talk about your professions. Those are probably the main two things people care about. I'll try to go over them as quickly as I can to make sure everything, all those things get covered for you. And then I'll just talk about random things you can do after the fact if you're just looking for stuff to do during the week, if you're just hard grinding because you feel like it. So, first and foremost, doing the story quests. If you do just the story missions, like just the campaign quests, you'll probably be locked, I think, at some point, like around the level 78 level, I think is when you get locked. Your leveling is pretty quick, questing is pretty quick. If you want to level characters after the story quests, I'd recommend just doing, you can just do quests and spam dungeons if you're just like a DPS, or if you have a group, spamming dungeons is obviously the fastest. It'll take you about 3 hours if you're just hard spamming with a group of people to get from 70 to 80. As far as doing that, I would recommend, well, not leveling alt, but for your main guy, I would recommend doing quests in the Isle of Dorn just to start. If you do all the quests, you'll end up like level 73, 74-ish, something like that. And from there on, you can just power through the campaign all the way till the end. In terms of just power, if you want some of these epic items, like these items I have equipped right here that are on the veteran track, if you do all of the quests, you'll get all of your rep stuff done, and you can get stuff, and you can buy them through their Council of Doran, Assembly, and Hollowfall. Gave me these three. There is another one, like there's this trinket that you can get. Where'd I put it? In my bag. It's in my bag somewhere. There's this trinket you can get. It hasn't been that good for me, and just like testing and doing stuff. So I haven't really been messing with it much. But there's this trinket you can get at, I think it's rank 11, from the Spider Bros down here. Also, the Spider Bros level is weird. When these guys level, your overall renown levels. That's why it's kind of like it shows zero progression, but I have progression here. Also, on the normal release, you'll be able to, I think you like assigned a bond to one of these guys every week, and then you can do work quests for them down here. But in terms of just actual power, you got 80. What can you do? There is a comment on Growl's video. The comment is from a guy called Drunken Bob Dole that says, during leveling, they said heroics will not be available in the Dungeon Finder. You need to go with the pre-made there on a daily lockout. So, on the main guy that you're going to be planning on raiding on, since most people just play like one character, I'd recommend do the campaign mission. If you want to, you can buy greens. The greens are like, you can buy greens up to 564, which is plenty. Heroic dungeons, I believe, are going to be dropping 567 gear. So I would highly recommend grouping with the same armor class so you don't waste any drops, and then running the heroic dungeons on day one and then each day after. As far as the events are concerned, each areas, there's the theater troop event, there's awakening the machine, and the spreading the light. I'm assuming these are going, I don't know if these give gear, like if they give like decent item level, but I'd recommend at least doing your first set of heroics or two to get around that 560, 570 gear level before doing these, just in case they do give higher, like 590 item level pieces. It won't really matter in the long run, so if you don't care, you don't care. But that's what I plan on doing. So I'll be waiting on doing these like weekly events later, so I can potentially get the highest amount of rewards. I don't know if Anj will have one of those rewards, but you can do that there. Also, in terms of gearing, there are these Darkmoon trinkets that currently they're pretty cheap. Might depend on your server. They're like, these are like 2k each. I don't know if these will go up or down, but I just got them because I have money and I can. So you can do that if you want to. But otherwise, that's kind of it for power. Like you can do the quests for the renown, buy these renown pieces of gear, and then do your heroics daily, and that's kind of it. As far as your bountiful keys are concerned, anytime there's a world quest up that gives you these coffer key shards, do it. Anytime you see a special assignment, we had one here and then one here. These special assignment quests also give you a bountiful key coffer. I'm assuming that these weekly events will also be giving you a bountiful key coffer as well, if I had to guess. But save these. Do not use these until the raid comes out. Because when the raid comes out, you can do up to tier 8 of delves. And doing tier 8 delves will give you 603, which is normal raid item level loot from those bountiful chests from delves. So save all these restored coffer keys you get and do not use them until you until the raid week. One thing you can do, however, is that you see this is bountiful. You do not use the coffer key when you go into the delve. You use the coffer key at the end of the delve. So even if the delve is bountiful, which gives currently 554 gear, even if the delve is bountiful, you do not actually consume the key unless you do the delve and then explicitly click the coffer at the end with the key. So just be very careful of that if you're doing those. I am missing a little rep from doing the dungeon quest, which I'll just be doing during my heroic week shenanigans. So that's where I'll be finishing those and doing those reps there. But in terms of like just straight character power, that's from that. However, we should all now talk about professions, because professions are a decent source of gold, probably a good source of income, can help you do different things. I would highly recommend after you do the intro quest and you save the Isle of Dorn or the city of Dornagal, and you can actually talk to the guards and stuff, go pick up your profession stuff, because there are 24 points of profession knowledge that you can pick up just around. There's some in every single zone. For example, even in alchemy, there's like 2 just in this town alone, but there's a total of 24 points for each profession, so it's not like one's getting more than the other. The other thing to note as well in terms of profession knowledge, well, you want to also these profession knowledge things you don't get. Like, you don't actually get the knowledge unless you actually come here, click the guy, and learn this version of alchemy. Because if you don't do that, then they won't show up on the map for you. They show up as like little treasure chests when you're near them. So I'd highly recommend doing that. Also for professions, what looks like we're going to be getting some of our weekly stuff from is these crafting orders, these patron crafting orders, right? These crafting orders, currently they give you an augment rune for each of them, which will be a decent source of money for players, as well as they have these little like crafting reagents or these little finishing reagents. However, what this is probably going to be, if I had to guess, is once this game goes like live, you'll be able to get additional knowledge through these patron rewards. I think this is where you get them. There'll be the weekly quest, I think, for your profession as well. These didn't start showing up for me until I was like level 60 in my profession. But I would recommend checking these out. I'm pretty sure this is where we're going to be getting a decent chunk of our weekly profession knowledge, so be on the lookout for that as well. But outside of like gear and professions, that's kind of it. There's probably going to be people smarter than me that know more than me, but that's kind of really all you're looking for. As far as like doing other things on top of that, what you can do is you can farm mounts. There's a mount here that's on top of this mountain. It takes these crackling shards, and what happens with these crackling shards is what you do with these is you get 10 of them, you break a shield on the guy, and then I think you beat him and you get them out. Don't do this in a group. I heard on the beta there's a problem if you did this in a group with other people, that there's a chance that multiple people using their crackling shard, the only person that broke the shield would get them out, and then everybody else would have wasted their stuff. So don't do that. There is, over here near the Cinderbrew Meadery, you can farm these Sizzling Cinder Pollens. You farm mobs around here, and you farm 900 of these, and you get them out there. There's also in the Ringing Depths, there's a once-a-day daily rare that spawns here. To spawn this rare, there's a couple like levers around the map, around the Ringing Depths map that you have to pull kind of near the same time, so you can look for groups and try and group up with people to do that. But it's once a day to potentially get them out from there. There's also a mount in Hollowfall. Every time the crystal goes dark, there's a rare called Belder's Spawn that spawns around that you can kill once a day to try and get them out from him. And then there's also this mount that spawns here. I think it's like 6 hours or so every time this mount spawns. But when it spawns, you kill him and you get a quest item. And that quest item, you need Nerubian Chitin. And then from there, you need Nerubian Venom. And then after that, you need Nerubian Blood So there's a lot of farming to do. It's just killing mobs. I'm assuming what this is supposed to be is once you get this, you kill this every day till you get the quest item. Like I got the quest item here. And then after you get the quest item, all you really have to do is just play the game normally, and you'll just accumulate Nerubian chittens and blood and venom and stuff like that for these quest steps as you're doing that in the raid. I'm assuming that's probably what it's supposed to be for. It's not really something you're meant to just grind out and be done with. It's something that you just do get done over the weeks while you're doing your normal shit. But other than that, other than doing like all the quests to get your renown up just for a couple of these pieces if you want, there are some, like, if you go super hard, there is Dark Moon Fair that comes out at the first of the month, September 1st, that you can potentially try and farm all the way up to 24 for this Crest reward here, which is a heroic crafting crest, which if you super degen it, you can do. You might be able to do. I don't actually know. It might be worth it. It might be not worth it. But I just did my quests anyway. Otherwise, you'd save for Dark Moon Fair and then turn all the quests in with the Dark Moon Fair buff to get towards that rep. It's not really going to matter for 99.9% of people. But other than that, it's just you're doing quests, you're doing delves, you're doing achievements, you're chilling, you're having a good time, and you're enjoying the expansion. And I hope you guys enjoy it. There's just really not that... There's not a lot to do. The other thing to consider as far as like gear stuff is concerned is there are items like, for example, this cursed pickaxe here. I'm keeping it in my bags because what this does is every now and then this cursed pickaxe will randomly turn you into like the void dwarf guys or whatever, and that's kind of cool if you just keep it in your bags. There's also like a ring that's up in here that gives you like a fire damage proc, which is pretty good, but those things are locked at 74, so you don't need to do any degenerate shit. It seems like what they actually tried to do is they tried to make it as degenerate-less as possible, like the seed farming or the key farming early on, like in the Waking Shores of Dragonflight. It seems like they got rid of most of that. Like, there's nothing I can just, as far as I know, go farm over and over and over and over again to try and get these, to try and get these items, right? But, or to try and get items for rep. There's nothing yet. But other than that, enjoy the expansion. I hope you have a good time. But that's really all I've learned from the early access thing. I've honestly just been like farming mounts and shit just because there's that little to do for me currently. There'll be more to do once we can do heroics every day, but other than that, we're chilling. Okie dokie. Bye-bye.